Good evening, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for Thursday, October 23, 2025. And in the news this evening, police corporal dies after bug walker crash. A policeman is dead following a two-vehicle crash in Bug Walker, St. Catherine on Wednesday night. The deceased has been identified as Corporal Mavado English, who was assigned to the Spanish Town Police Station in St. Catherine North. The circumstances surrounding the crash are unclear at the moment. The news will have more information as it becomes available. Soldier hospitalized after being pinned under JDF unit in Mandeville crash. A member of the Jamaica Defensive Force has been hospitalized after the unit he was driving crashed and overturned, reportedly pinning him under the vehicle, police say. Preliminary reports are that sometime after 9 a.m. on Thursday, the JDF unit was traveling towards the Mandeville town center when, upon reaching New Green Road, the driver lost the control. The unit subsequently veered left, crashed into an embankment, and overturned. The soldier was reportedly pinned under the unit during the crash. The injured soldier was rushed to the Mandeville Regional Hospital, where he has been admitted. Mavado's son Dante Brooks facing assault and weapon charges. Dante Brooks, the son of dancehall superstar Mavado, has once again found himself in trouble with the law. The news understands that the junior Brooks is now facing charges of unlawful wounding and assault at a common law. According to police sources, charges were laid against the Brooks on Wednesday. In addition to the wounding and assault charges, the entertainer's son is also facing charges of possession of prohibited weapon and using a prohibited weapon to commit a scheduled offense. The police said the new charges stem from a July incident in Mavado's hometown of Cassava Peace. Specific details related to the matter were not revealed. However, it is understood that Brooks is also being investigated on a gun-related charge. This is the second time official charges have been laid against Brooks, who was freed in March after his 2021 murder conviction was overturned by the Court of Appeal. At the time, the then 18-year-old Brooks was sentenced to life imprisonment for the 2018 killing of Lorenza Thomas in Cassava Peace. His co-accused Andre Hines was also freed. The Brooks family was reunited last week after Mavado returned to Jamaica for the first time in almost a decade. This after a 2018 warrant for his arrest was vacated recently. He had been wanted for assault occasioning actual bodily harm. Hospitals in emergency mode, clinics to close early as storm approaches. All public hospitals in Jamaica have entered emergency mode, and all clinics will close as of 4 p.m. Thursday as the country braces for Tropical Storm Melissa. Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, made the announcement at a Jamaica House press briefing earlier Thursday. He explained that emergency mode means that while hospitals remain open, outpatient services and elective surgeries will be suspended for the time being to allow hospital staff to focus on emergencies. Visitations will be limited, and the family members are asked to pick up their relatives who have been admitted for non-critical reasons, Tufton said. He said the respective hospitals will reach out to the family members of persons who should be picked up. We have to reserve bed space just in case we need them for emergencies, Tufton explained. He said a further update on health centers will be provided on Friday. Judge slaps down Wildman's appeal for pause of Reed and Pinnock fraud trial. Defense lawyer Hugh Wildman yesterday urged the senior parish judge, Sancha Burrell, to voluntarily pause the multi-million-dollar fraud trial involving former Education Minister Roel Reed and others in the Kingston and the St. Andrew Parish Court. Wildman made the request after announcing that he had filed on Tuesday in the Supreme Court a judicial review of the judge's decision to dismiss his application for the case against Reed and his four co-accused to be thrown out due to what he described as a critical error in the indictment. The attorney, who represents a former president of the Caribbean Maritime University, Professor Fritz Pinnock, had urged the judge to voluntarily stay the proceedings and allow the matter to be resolved. Wildman also indicated that he would be seeking a stay from the High Court as soon as he gets a date. However, the judge told him, "When a court of superior jurisdiction tells me to discontinue, I will stop." The lawyer, however, persisted, "If we are notified," but the judge interrupted him, saying, "Sufficient to the date." She further stated, "The proper procedure is that I continue unfettered." Wildman had urged that the indictment order, which authorizes the commencement of the matter, contains information only relating to Pinnock and Reed, despite the 5 individuals being on trial. He said the indictment did not mention Reed's wife, Sharon, their daughter, Sherelle, and the Jamaica Labour Party councillor, Kim Brown Lawrence, who are also charged in connection with an arrangement to defraud the CMU and the Ministry of Education of over $25 million. According to Wildman, this discrepancy renders the trial invalid for the remaining 3 accused, and they should not be allowed to continue. He also contended that the issue was incurable and required the intervention of the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, during yesterday's proceedings, Wildman continued his objection from the previous day when he challenged the evidence of a detective sergeant from the Major Organized Crime and the Anti-Corruption Agency about 4 invoices she had shown to a driver while collecting a statement from him in April 2019. The witness said she showed him 4 invoices from CMU which were in his name. According to her, 2 of the sums were for $330,000 and the other 2 for $30,000 each. Written on each invoice was for the provision of meals for students. The police witness is one of 3 called by the prosecution so far as part of its application under Section 31D of the Evidence Act to have the driver's statement admitted as evidence. Reiterating his argument, Wildman stressed that the requirements under the Act cannot be proven by hearsay evidence, citing 2 cases. A critical portion of this witness evidence infringes on the hearsay rule, he said. According to him, the witness gave purported evidence, and the newspapers have it all over the place. They ran with sensationalism. The judge, however, told him that she was focused on the evidence in the case and disagreed with his argument before instructing him to move on. Wildman further submitted that the photocopy image of the driver, which the detective sergeant had collected and had signed, should not be allowed. Arguing that she had collaborated with an inspector from the Financial Investigations Division, Wildman said the image came from a source which breaches Section 10 of the FID Act, noting that the Act requires absolute confidentiality when an authorized agent obtains information. He said such information cannot be shared with a third party and that any such disclosure amounts to a criminal offense. Responding on the Crown's behalf, Prosecutor Nikisha Youngshand said Wildman's submission was premature as the witness had not completed her evidence. She explained that the Crown, in pursuance of its application, had brought a witness to support the assertion that the driver had died. However, she said the detective was not called to prove that the driver had died, but rather to establish that the photo image she collected was that of the driver. The prosecutor further argued that although the evidence being elicited from the sergeant was not hearsay, hearsay would be admissible in the context of this case, as the prosecution is seeking to have admitted a statement from a witness who has died. Lead prosecutor Ashtel Steele also argued that nothing in the Act restricts the authority conferred on authorized agents by the police force and the court orders. The Crown will continue its response on Monday when the trial resumes. Thank you everyone for watching. See you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for another news update.